Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me know if you guys can hear my audio and see my screen in the chat box. Just give me a little Y or a yes there. Just let me know that it is working. Hope everybody's having a fantastic morning so far. I'm looking forward to a wonderful last day of the week before Christmas here to see if we can get a good bankers close trade. Let's hurry up and get into that quickly, and then we'll talk about some of the other stuff. But as always, I need to go over the disclaimer before anything. Um, as always, I need to remind you guys about the risks involved in the market. You can lose all or more than your initial investment if you're not careful. So please be aware of how many pips you're risking on each trade, in addition to how big your lot size is, and ultimately how that would affect your account if you lose money. So make sure that you're going through that process each and every time that you take a trade. All right, guys. So as far as news goes, there's just a little CAD and dollar news, but nothing that would affect the bankers close that I'm aware of. Yeah, so the London banks will close today because there's no bank holiday yet. However, Sunday and Monday they are closed. So something to be aware of as we move forward. Okay, and then let's go. Let's pull up the different pairs here. So I got the pound franc 5-minute. That thing's coming up quite a bit. We've got let's do the euro franc. I like to actually pull these up on Trading View instead. Let me do that real quick, and then we'll go ahead and make a quick decision on which one of the threes we want to trade today. Got a little smaller class than usual today. I think that's just due to the holidays, right? A lot of people have taken the day off, but you guys are the soldiers, right? The warriors coming here to learn, grind before Christmas. That's awesome. And I think this is a good strategy to trade year round, even when the volatility is low. In fact, especially when volatility is low, this can be a great little strategy. Okay, so Euro franc's coming up at a high here. That's actually that actually could be pretty good. On the 5-minute, it's testing a multi-day high. Euro pound is just in the middle of the pack here, not really doing much. Okay, so I'm not going to touch that one today, or at least for now. This pound franc is coming up, but my only concern with the pound franc is that the next supply block is not until basically up here. And so I'm thinking if you want to trade this one, you'd have to stomach a 30 pip drawdown. So maybe stay away from that one today. Unless you can. It'll probably work out just fine. That's what you'd have to work with. Okay, so this is the one that's most enticing to me, is this euro franc. I'm trying to see if there's any other supply up here. At least not on the 5-minute, but I'm okay with this because there is a lot of support up here or resistance up there. So let's go ahead and pull up the euro franc. Yep, I've already got it. I'm going to do a starter position short, and then my default stop loss, this is in case like pandemonium sets in, just for everyone that is curious, is 40 pips. So I always have a 40 pip stop loss in the euro franc and on the euro pound when I'm trading the bankers close as a default stop loss. So you can always change your stop loss to something that matches the current market. But when you're just trying to protect yourself, that's a good way to go. I'm taking this on my other account. 1 second. Let me grab a couple of trades over there and get this thing going. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's talk more about this trade in particular. The other thing I wanted to do, I know we just entered into it, but I wanted to see if there were some significant blocks above this market. See, on the 15-minute, it's saying that there is a little something up here, but it is 40 pips away. Let's see if there's anything closer on like a 30-minute. Yeah, on the 30-minute, okay, this is a better view. So on the euro franc here, we're right inside of supply, which is good because there is no news for the rest of this day, guys. I don't know how in the world this thing would break above this. I mean, it could. I mean, the market does whatever it wants, right? But it is good to know that the next supply, for this market, yeah, I guess it is 30 pips away. Close out at this next supply. This was formed all the way back in November. So, and yeah, like I said, I don't think the market would go there. So that's just the higher time frame outlook of this market. And you can see it over here where we just took these trades to that 30-minute and see what's out here, or an hourly, doesn't matter. I guess I can't see it there. You got to go a little higher. Yeah, it's back here. Month high. We're not at a month high yet, but we're testing it, that's for sure. And so that's what the market's up against today. And yeah, if it were to come back up, if it were to go up more, you know, it has to here where it would you'd find a lot of help in this area, which I'm sure we could work with, but I just wanted to let you guys know what the market could potentially do. So, okay, so that's all good. The other thing that I like too, that I kind of just noticed here is we still haven't made a new high yet. Technically, this is the high of the month right there, and we haven't broken that. And then this is a lower low than the previous lows. Like this low is lower than this low, and this low, this low. It didn't break this low, but that was quite a long time ago. So line, although, you know, anything can happen. I just want you guys to be aware of that. But that's why I like this trade over some of the other alternatives that we have to trade. Yeah, if you look at the euro pound, this guy is not at a mid or upper Bollinger Band. Like you can, or excuse me, he's not an upper or lower Bollinger Band. Yeah, he's just at a mid Bollinger Band. So there's really no setup. Technically, there would have been a nice setup right here, but that's outside of the banker's close hour. So I guess it's technically not a setup, right? But then, you know, who knows? By the end of the hour, which is right here, basically, you know, if this market wants to, it could certainly come up to here, it could come down to here. We'll see. And then let's see, what else do we have? We have, so that one's really not an opportunity, but there are supply and demand zones above it and below it. So if we were at an upper or lower Bollinger Band, I'd feel comfortable trading that one. We just aren't. So the next one would be the pound franc, right? That's the other that's the other currency pair we trade during this hour. This guy is at a pretty much a high and is pulling back, which is good. So this one could have been an option to short up here and continue to hold beyond this point. However, my big concern with this one, and this is why I chose the euro franc over this guy, is yeah, we're at a little bit of supply here, but it's not a big deal. That's not a huge thing. The real supply is in this area, right? And so if this wanted to go up, it certainly could. And like without reservation, this thing could absolutely come up, and then you'd be down 40 pips before you'd get anything back in your favor. And that seems a little too far to stomach, at least on a day like today. You know, we're going into the weekend. I really don't want to have to hold these trades over the weekend if I don't have to. Yeah, it's definitely my goal to be out of this before the weekend. So yeah, so anyway, that's why I liked the euro franc, because we are testing a month high up here. I guess this line would be a month high. If it went above that, then we'd be making a new high, which is fine. And then technically the next level of supply is a little bit closer than the pound francs is, right? So you have a lot more opportunity to fix the trade like up in here, up in this area, you have opportunity to fix it, right? So that's, again, that's another reason why I chose this guy over the other options. So yeah, if I come over here and you can see that on Sonar Lab, right? All of this, like I can delete my own supply box and you can see theirs. Yeah, they're saying that this is definitely a supply zone. Yeah, and I already said this, but I would be surprised if this did go over this at this point, because it's like the Friday before Christmas and it's you have no news, right? So that would be surprising. It'd be epic if it did. We'll work it out. Like that's the cool thing. Like I said, I last night I mentioned this. I haven't lost a banker's close trade since the second Thursday in October. So every banker's close trade, so basically every day, because there's been a banker's close pretty much every day since that day, I've made money. I haven't lost money. I've had some losing trades, but then I've had winning trades that overcame the losses on those trades. So that's what I was basically saying, is that at the end of the trading day, I've always ended profitable at the end of the day, which is really, really awesome. And I think it's because of all the precautions we put in place, right? Like, you know, we talk about, you know, making sure that you don't trade through news. That's a rule that we added, I think like 3 months ago, something like that. And that's really protected us against really, really bad losses, right? You know, make sure you don't have something through news. Another thing that we do is, you know, we added this recently, you know, of the 3 pairs that you're trading, try to find the pair that has the most supply demand nearby so that you have an ability to get out of the trade successfully. You know, if the trade goes against you, you know, have those strategic zones where you could potentially add to the position and get that trade profitable, right? So you add all those things in your favor. You stack all of that in your favor, and all of a sudden the trade is really hard to lose at that point. Like you almost have to try to lose, right? The other way you could lose, even if you have this odds stacked in your favor, is if you were to like over leverage. So if you put too many trades on, you know, you got too big on the trade, like that's a way you could potentially lose on the banker's close. So I do want to make that clear too, that is that, and it's common too. I've seen that happen quite a bit. So for me, what I do is I have a couple of rules. So on the 200K account, and you guys can decide what you're doing. So on my 200K account with FTMO, when I'm trading the banker's close, so I have that on my other screen over here. You guys see me trade this one with LVO. It's another prop trading firm. When I'm trading on FTMO, my personal rules are can't have more than a max of 20 trades, and each trade is a full contract. So I can't have more than 20 lots or 20 contracts total on the trade. If I've hit that maximum, I can no longer add to the position, right? That's my max. And then when I'm trading the Euro franc, my max stop loss is 40 pips. It's like my max. You know, at the end of the day, I try to tighten the stop loss a little bit, but that is my max, right? And then let's see what else is going to say about that. So those are my risk parameters: 40 pips max stop loss, 20 total trades, 20 contracts, which would be like $200 a pip. And that's the max I'm willing to go on that trade setup. So anyway, I hope that kind of makes sense. On the pound franc, that one has a wider ATR naturally. And so after some back testing, I found that, like, for me personally, the 60 pip stop loss max is how far I'm willing to go. That's my hard stop. Obviously, if I can try to take losses earlier, that's better, right? We don't want to try to hold on to losers longer than we have to, right? So the pound franc has its max 60 pip stop loss. I still do max 20 trades. Um, and a single contract per trade. And that keeps me within the risk management that I have to keep it within, so that I don't blow the account, right? All right, so we'll see what this guy does. It's being a little stubborn. Oh, another thing too. Okay, so let's talk about, while we're waiting on this trade to do something spectacular, because we'll see if it actually, let's talk about this. So if this breaks above this high right here, which who knows, I don't know what it's going to do here. It's just kind of sitting almost where we got in. I probably won't add, or at least I won't add aggressively until it got to the area that I'm eyeing is this area up here. So kind of up between here and here, basically. That's where the real supply is going to be. And so again, if it goes up, that's where I'd be really interested in kind of going a little harder. And again, I would be surprised if it got to there, but that is my next area where I'm really interested. So, okay, let's talk about that Aussie Kiwi. I'm actually still in the Aussie Kiwi trade. It's pulled back. I guess last night there was some slight improvements with the Aussie Kiwi trade, because our stop loss on this guy is down below this structure right here, or this wick. And I need to double check where we got into this trade, but I think we got in somewhere around here-ish. Let's see, because there was like 33 pips from the peak. Yeah, so maybe closer to here. So let me go up just a little bit more. I think we got in about there. So we are down on this trade about 30 pips, which is not terrible right now, especially because we did take a win, a pretty big win on Tuesday night or Wednesday night. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, I'm still in this guy right now. I may close this one for all of us by the end of the day, just so that we don't float trades over Christmas. I'd really try to avoid that if I can. Um, But the thing is, I was actually looking at the price action on this one. This actually still looks bullish. Like, I don't want you guys to think like, oh, just because it's pulled back, it's done. If you look at it, look at the structure behind this. So this was a lower low, but then this is a higher low, right? This high is higher than this previous high. So we're starting to switch directions. And then this high is higher than the previous high, definitely. This high is still higher than the previous high here and here and here, right? And so it appears to me that this Aussie Kiwi still wants to make more highs. Like, this has more to go, going into next year. That's the key word though. So I was talking to a couple of traders last night, and one of the things that we were realizing is that a lot of these trades, although really good, and in normal market conditions would work out just fine and quickly, we're not seeing that happen as often right now, and it is due to lack of volatility and commitment by the banks. So, we're asking the market to make a 100 pip move from this current price. Actually more, we're asking it to make a 120 pip move to the next supply zone. And if you look at the price action, everything's there, the recipe's there to make that happen. The only thing that's missing in the recipe is volatility and commitment by the big banks to push this higher. And so we're struggling to get that right now. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these overnight trades, especially so the first couple this week were fantastic, right? We made money on those pretty easily. We got to our targets easily, but that's not happening right now. You're not seeing those overnight 100 pip moves that are pretty typical on a lot of currency pairs. It's just not happening. And so I'm not the type of person that wants to blame anything. And I'm not blaming, like, it is my fault for taking the trade at this stage in the holidays. But I definitely want to take ownership over that. However, I'm not taking ownership over the fact that there's not volatility. That's something I can't control. And so since we can't control that, but we know it's not going to be here, that's why I'm making the choice to avoid overnight trades until January 2nd. Once that comes around, that date comes around, let's go back in big time. Let's get those trades, because we were doing very well with these. Um, we're just not getting follow through. And that's what happened with this one. Like we were buying at a good spot. We had a breakout of structure. There's no strong reason for this market to stop where it stopped here. Because it stopped right in the middle of an expansion zone, which is really rare to see a market stop like that. And so this market should have and probably will. I'm actually pretty excited to see this trade probably get to this next supply zone. But I think the banks are going to wait to do that. I think they know it needs to happen, and I think that's their plan. But it's not going to get to this next supply until January. So this could actually be a great trade, honestly, in January, because that's where the market's going next. It's right there. It's not going back down to here. The price action just isn't representing that, right? There's too many things that took place here that's showing us that this market's going to go up. Now, obviously, it wasn't a downtrend, and a lot of rookie traders would look at this and say, "Well, Steve, it's in a downtrend. You should be selling this." Not right now. Well, you probably would have back here, because if you look at the price action, let's say you ignore all this stuff and you come back over here. This is a lower high than this high, right? This high is lower than these highs over here, right? This low is getting lower than these lows over here. This low is lower than right? That's the price action you're looking for a continuation, right? That's what you're looking for. We're not seeing that happen right now. What we're seeing is the markets are making higher lows, higher highs, and not just a few, but we have many that are now indicating that. So it's not an anomaly. It's definitely a change in direction. And so, again, I really stand and affirm the fact that this market absolutely is headed to the next supply. It's just not going to do it when there's not enough people to send it there, right? It's kind of like the big banks shake hands and say, okay, we have our plans for next year, but we're going to fulfill them in January. Let's all go home and enjoy our champagne or whatever. Like, that's just kind of what's happened at this point. So yes, I have the trading itch, and it's something I have to deal with. Like, every day I want to trade. Every day I think about it. Every night I think about it. I want to trade. It's just so fun, right? But it's hard because you do have to put on this like discipline to say, but I can't do that right now. I can't just hop in here. I can't just get in here and take the trades that I want when I want. I have to wait for this to do what I need it to do, right? So yeah, we're gonna wait for just basically be patient with this, and I think it's also a good time to spend some time with your family, your friends, spend some time being grateful for the things that you have, being grateful for the things that you've learned and the opportunities that those things are going to bring you in 2023. And then I think this week, especially next week, because I don't know about you guys, especially if you're new to trading, but I've been trading for 10 years. So I've had 10 different opportunities to look at the market between December 25th and January 1st. It's pretty abysmal. It's not a great time to trade. It's very, very difficult. So we may not even have a lot of opportunities next week. But we'll still try. We will still definitely try. but I want to make that clear that, you know, I think a really good use of your time would be game planning your life for 2023, game planning your trading plan. Think about, okay, at what point do I get a prop trading account? When do I get funded for real this time? When do I get that 100K, 200K? How am I going to do it? Am I going to use the banker's close? Am I going to do these overnight trades? Is it going to be a mix between the two things? How long is it going to take me to get funded? When can I leave my job? All those things are things you need to think about next year. You know, do I incorporate, is this the type of thing where I keep my job and I trade on the side? You know, whatever that is and whatever it looks for you, these are things you have to decide. But yeah, definitely, I think next week is one of those times where you make your game plan, you know. And feel free, like if you feel comfortable to share your game plan with me, definitely do it. You know, I'd love to you know, give you some insight. If there's things you want to share, that's great. I totally get it. If there's things that are personal and you don't want to share, totally get it. So whatever you feel comfortable with, I'd love to help out when I can and whatever you feel is good for you. So, all right, guys. So this Euro Frank's just being really slow right now, and that's fine. It's just what we want. We don't want it to be, we really don't want a lot of volatility at this point. And it's just, I'm down 2 or 3 pips on each trade. That's fine. We're just waiting. It's just down barely anything. We're just waiting for it to make a reaction. You know, if the reaction is to the upside, we have a plan. There's an area up here where there's a lot of supply where we're willing to add. We'll work on that if it goes there. If it goes down, great. Oh yeah, that's actually another thing we should talk about. If this thing comes down, where would be an appropriate target? Let's talk about that. Yeah, I didn't really talk about that part. I've been just waiting for this trade to do something. Really, if you look at it, the next real obvious demand area is this one, right? That's an obvious one because that's the last consolidation before this breakout on the 5-minute chart. So should we have some take profits there? Absolutely. You know, and that's 24 pips away. Where's another area? I would also say we could have some conservative targets, you know, even if this market came back down and retested some of its lower candles right in there. I think we should probably close just a couple of trades out in there. That'll give you about 6, 7 pips on those guys if those hit, but we'll mix it up. I think between here and here, I'm just going to mix up my trades. So definitely have a couple in here that we're willing to close out and make some money on, something like that. And then definitely have several inside this demand here. So that's kind of what I'm picturing for today at least at this moment. That's kind of what I'm picturing. It does look like it wants to make another high. Kind of what basically, here's what I would expect. You know, if this thing wants to make another high this late in the game today, we'll let it, obviously. I think it might do something like this. And then something like this. Like that's kind of what I would expect. It's very similar to what happened today. In fact, we should recap yesterday's trade because we didn't get to stay together to recap that trade. So let me actually head over to the pound franc and let me show you that trade and how that one played out from yesterday. Oh yeah, here it is. So here's the banker's close hour right here. I'll draw it up. This is the beginning of the hour right here. And here's the end of the hour here. Okay. So the first initial signal we had to sell this from a traditional standpoint yesterday for the banker's close was basically right at the beginning of the hour. We had a break in the upper Bollinger Band, you know, where you're hitting a little bit of supply, not a big deal. I guess the real supply was up here where really turned down. That's where, at least on the 5-minute chart, that's where we had some help. And then this thing just went up. And this is pretty common. And that's kind of what we're experiencing right now with the Euro franc, just not to the, I mean, this went up 25 pips, right? Versus we're only down 4 or 5 pips on the Euro franc right now. So this guy really went pretty high. And it can be kind of scary in the moment, because obviously in hindsight, you look at this and you're like, oh, phew, it came back down, right? But in the moment, you're looking at this like, oh my gosh, this thing is going up and I'm down. I am a seller in an up market. This is terrible. But if your plan's in place, if you've done all your due diligence, you're like, hey, I don't have any news right now. I'm coming up into some supply. I'm in the last hour of trading. I'm trading the banker's close, and the banks want to have some kind of pullback at some point. I feel like you can have that confidence. Like, I feel like you've earned that confidence to be able to, go in there confidently and just say, yeah, I can make money with this. I know how to make money with this, right? All right. So, yep, this went up. And then towards the end of the hour, we had a nice little pullback, but it didn't pull back to break even. And so we pretty much got the move we needed about an hour after the close. So right around here, you would have been able to break even on these guys and then profit big time on whatever you added up here. So if you plot my trades, you can see exactly how I traded this. So this will pull up all the trades that I've taken. Let's see, they should show up here. Yeah, here they come. So you can see I took some L's on these guys right here, right? But they're small, right? So I got in here and I lost, 6, 7 pips on those ones. And then on these ones, I had some trades that made, that closed out down here. Those were plus 24 pips on those. So that covers a lot of loss on that, right? And I had several of those right there. And so when you combine the losers plus the winners, this thing ended up making me about 91 or 92 pips on this move right here. I wish I had probably closed out some of those sells that did lose at break even, but I ended up taking a 5 pip loss. And I think that's smart though. Sometimes, like, I like to take losses when they become more acceptable. Like, obviously that's a more acceptable loss right there, to take a -5, -6, or -7, versus at one point these trades were down 26 pips, right? That's not as good, right? That's a harder loss to take. Whereas I just kind of settle with the market and I say, okay, hey, thanks for coming back. I'm going to go ahead and give you some of these back to the market, and then I'm going to keep some of these that I have up here and let those ride a little bit, right? That's kind of the concept. And there were a couple of opportunities to close. Let's see. I guess there's really one solid opportunity outside of this one. Well, I guess two then. So you had, this is a solid opportunity to get out. And then you had another opportunity here to potentially get out. And then the only way you could have gotten out later is if, well, I guess you could have gotten out here. This was just a couple of hours ago. But then you would have needed to add to the position, add more cells up here, and then you'd be fine. So yeah, that's one way it could have worked. But I think it's important to take your profits when the first opportunity comes along, because you don't know if opportunity number 2 is going to be there. Often it is. Like, I've seen the bankers close work out, give you multiple opportunities to fix the trade. But, at some point, once this supply demand down here is tapped into, who's going to, I don't know if it'll ever come back to that, right? So at this point, like, if you were still in the bankers close trade from yesterday, yeah, you'd be down quite a bit at this point. So yeah, you do have to take advantage of these moves when they come down. And that's why I place take profits and stop losses beforehand, is to protect myself from that kind of thing. So, all right. Okay, so this looks, that's good. That was a good trade. Yeah, yesterday was honestly it was a great trade. that had some real lessons behind it, right? So like obviously when you and I are taking these trades, we just want the trade as soon as we execute the sells or the buys, we want it to go in our favor just right away, right? I mean, who doesn't? Everyone wants the trade just to immediately go in your favor. And we've had lots of trades even this week that were like that with the banker's close. This one was an example where, you know, you get in, you have a little bit of a signal, and then the signal just increases. And, you know, you need to learn how to add into these successfully. That's why I usually take a starter position. You always hear me say, I'm just going to take a starter position. A starter position is usually about um, a third to a half of what I'm willing to trade total on the trade. And then as the trade increases or goes against me, but into a direction that I feel like I could add into, that's when I'll go ahead and scale in a little bit harder into the trade, like we did with this one. There were other trades this week that just worked out immediately. Like if you were, I don't know if you guys recall, but we had this euro pound. Let's see, let's go back to the euro pound. Let me pull up sessions because that'll show me what I'm looking for. Let's go down to a 5-minute. Yep, here we go. So let's see, what day was it this week? Not yesterday, but I guess the euro pound would have been, no, this is today. Yesterday, how would the euro pound have been? See, this would have been great. Actually, well, this has been an interesting one. So like, had we trade the euro pound yesterday, this is where the banker's close hour starts, and the end of this green is the end of the banker's close hour. So where's the initial signal to buy in on this euro pound here? Technically right here, when the market pierced that lower Bollinger Band, that would be a signal to buy. And yeah, this one did go down for the next 15 minutes. But then after that, this thing started ripping and roaring back. And you can make all your money back on that move right there. Even if you just got out at the mid Bollinger Band, you'd make quite a bit of money on that. Just that one right there. All right. And then let's go to the next day. Okay, so this is 3 days ago. This one would have been a little more difficult, but would have worked out nonetheless. In fact, I think we traded this one. Yeah, we did. So with this one, this is another kind of more difficult day. Where's the initial signal on this guy? Technically, you could go ahead and start shorting right here. And then this thing went up for the next hour and a half. It went up 15 pips total, which is not terrible. And then it pulled back later. So you had a pullback here where you could take advantage of a lot of that stuff, which honestly, that you probably get out of the whole trade by that point, because you'd be at basically break even on your worst trade and then positive on all the other trades that you took after that. And then I think there was another opportunity to, yeah, right here. Yeah, here, look at this. The market came all the way down to here, and the initial sell signal was right here. So even those trades had a potential to be up 6 or 7 pips. And then your best trade, if you could sell up here, had the potential to be up at 1.20 pips. So that one was a little bit like yesterday's trade, and it kind of gives me today's vibes a little bit. It's reminding me of today a little bit. Okay, this is the one. This was the easy one. So we basically came in here. I remember this one. This was Tuesday. On Tuesday, we came in here and this thing was already at a high of the day, touching the upper Bollinger Band. So we immediately just executed a sell, boom. And then that thing just hit their targets just immediately, just very quickly. Let's see how Monday did. Monday, I don't know how we traded this one because it's just fleeting my memory. But here's the beginning of the hour. And yeah, you could if you got here quickly, or maybe even a few minutes before the hour, there's a potential to sell right there. The next buy, there technically isn't really an opportunity because it doesn't hit the upper or lower Bollinger Band in that hour right here. So you really wouldn't even trade that one. I'm not sure if we traded that one on Monday. I'm not sure what Monday's trade was. I'd have to go back and check. So, oh, here, is this Friday? Yeah, Friday. Yes, so Friday was, okay, this is the one I wanted to show. I remembered there was one somewhere. Yeah, so this is exactly like if every day were like this, I don't even know what to say. It would just be amazing, right? Here's the banker's close hour. This is when the class starts on Friday. So on Friday, we got together and this happened. Right at the beginning of the hour, we made a high right into supply, punctured the upper Bollinger Band. Like this one was about as obvious as they come, and we shorted this guy, and boom, goodbye, goodbye forever, right? Beautiful trade, beautiful little trade, right? So anyway, I'm just trying to illustrate the fact that, you know, days like this is what we want every day. And some days we can get easy candy like this, right? But it's not going to happen every day. And so I need to teach you guys, because this is easy. Anybody could do this. A child could do this one, right? And yes, on these days, we'll make our couple grand and we'll be happy and we'll get out, right? Just easy, easy, easy. Other days we have to battle a little bit. Like today even looks like might be a little bit of a battle. Um, there were at least 3 days this week that I know were a little bit more of a battle, like this one right here on Wednesday, Thursday. Yesterday was a little bit of a battle. We didn't trade this one, but I can see why this one would be a little bit of a battle. You would have looked for trades right here. This is the start of the hour yesterday on the Euro pound. Here's your puncture of the Bollinger Band. That's a signal to start buying. And for about 15 minutes, this thing just keeps going down. So you have to learn how to add into that and know kind of like, oh, here's some more demand. The next demand is down here. So be aware of some of those levels and then ride that guy up from there. Right. And then you'd be done. But yeah, that one would have been like 15 minutes of drawdown, 20 minutes of drawdown, and then everything in your favor at that point. Right. Today, there really just hasn't been a setup because it's at the mid Bollinger Band. Like the hour started right here, and we just haven't had an upper or mid Bollinger Band touch yet. So the Euro pound's been kind of off limits. Let's see, the pound franc, I think this one's technically been a little bit off limits too. I mean, you could argue that a sell is probably a good idea here, but the Euro franc is probably the only one I felt good with because, you come over here to the Euro franc and here's the start of the hour. And yeah, I guess only now we're starting to hit that upper Bollinger Band, right? We're hitting close to a high of the day, high of the month, high of the week, whatever. Yeah, this is really the only one that has an opportunity today, right? And you can always trade things like the euro dollar, but even this one doesn't really have an opportunity. There's other off pairs you can trade, like the euro CAD. There was news with those guys though, so I don't know if I would have touched them. Like this euro CAD looked like it had a nice little option. This is the start of the class right here. Might have been able to hop into that. Might have been able to hop into that one. But I don't trade those ones as much. I really like the 3 pairs that we have, Euro franc, Euro pound, and pound franc, just because those are the only 3 pairs out of all the pairs out there that have the best relationship to the European banks, right? It's kind of like a pure cross relationship. So anyway, let's go back over here. Yeah, so at this point, guys, we can leave this, we can just let this trade ride and do its thing. I mean, it's been very slow. Let's head back to the euro pound, and that's euro franc, excuse me. And that's okay, right? Being slow is good. Like we'll take slow. Like I'd rather be slow and no news than anything else. So in fact, I'm thinking at this point, I'm just going to add a trade or two up here. I'd like to grab a few more right there. Nothing huge though. just grab a couple in there. And then I think I am going to, because I don't know if there's enough volatility to come all the way down to here, I might leave 1 or 2 trades down to there. But honestly, I think I'm going to close most of my trades in this area right here. So I have to wrap up about 10 minutes early. So I'm going to go ahead and start bringing my trades to where I want them, put stop losses in where I want them and things like that. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to put a couple of trades up in here. And yeah, I'll just take my profits kind of in this area. And I'll leave 1 or 2 trades to ride to this next demand down here. But I feel like if anything, by the end of the day, we should get a move down into here. We should get a regress back into here. But down to here, that's a little too much to ask. 28 pips at this time of the day. I don't know how you'd get there. So, but I still leave 1 or 2 trades on to hit that. But these are the ones I do feel comfortable getting to at some point. And just to reaffirm, I do think you'll still see another push, and then you'll get what you're looking for. That's kind of how I see today panning out. And it'll be slow. So maybe go do something else while you let this sit here, because it's going to be slow. It's going to be painful to just sit and watch it. Okay. Now, as far as stop losses go, so you can leave your defaults at 40 if you want. Another method that I've taught a lot of people to do if you have to leave trades alone is go to MATAF, right? Go to MATAF. I'll give you the link. Here it is. I'll put it in the chat box. Once you're at MATAF, come over here, search the pair you're trading. Okay. Go to search the Euro franc. Okay. Click on it. And then also, I think here I have the bankers close rules. It's inside the rules. So here it is. If you click in here, at the very last rule, it says if you have to leave the trade alone, like you can't just manage it actively, like you have to walk away because you got things going on, which I do this morning. So if you have to walk away, you can either use the default, like, okay, back test 40 pip stop loss, or if you want something tighter, you can use 1/4 of the average daily range as your stop loss, use MATAF to find the average daily range, blah, blah, blah. And then you use 1/4 of that. So if you come over to MATAF, you find today's volatility for the Euro franc. So this is the ATR. So on average, the Euro franc on Fridays over the last 10 weeks has had a 66.1 pip range. So if you pull up a calculator and you go 66.1 divided by 4, so you'd have a 16 pip, 16 and a half, we'll say, if you want to round it, 17 pips stop loss if you have to leave these trades alone. And that's going to keep you could still, yeah, definitely if you bring these stop losses closer, you could definitely lose a lot easier because your stop losses are naturally closer. But at the same time, it protects you from a really crazy move from the market. So yeah, I could pull these here. I think I might do that just because I'd like to protect the account and I am going to walk away. So I'll say 17 pips is going to be my stop. So somewhere around here is going to be my stop loss today. And this will allow me to walk away and know that I'm not risking the farm, right? I'm just saying, hey, market, I know what you can do, but I'm only giving you this much room to do what you need to do today. And this is how you protect yourself. Okay. And then that's it. You could literally walk away from the trade at this point and let it do its thing, and then come back later. That's what I'm going to have to do. Like I said, I've got a lot of errands to run today before Christmas still. So this is how I'm going to leave it. And again, if you do sit in front of your computer and watch this, it's going to be super painful. Look at these candlesticks, super slow. Okay, this is just classic holiday trading at this point. It's going to be very slow to get the move that we're looking for. It may be just the very last move of the day. Like it's just like I could totally see this thing pulling something like this. Like it could totally just make these little tiny moves like this that will drive you crazy. It'll absolutely drive you nuts. And then later it's like, oh, hey, okay, yeah, like, well, that's right. We need to do this. And then it'll come back up, something like that. Like I could totally see something like that. So definitely, I'd say at this point, just once you have everything installed, your stop losses and your take profits, like walk away, just walk away, man. Okay. Well, sweet. Let's see. Let's let this thing do its thing. And we'll reconvene. Like I'll still telegram everybody later so you guys can get an update before we go into the weekend. My plan is to do another bankers close on Tuesday. Monday, banks are closed, so no bankers close on Tuesday, or yeah, no, on Monday, excuse me. So, but yeah, guys, anyway, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see how this plays out. I'll let you guys know. I really appreciate you guys coming. Have a very Merry Christmas, everybody. Really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. I'm looking forward to helping you guys achieve your own goals next year. Definitely set those up, make a business plan. Let's get going. So thanks for coming, guys. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you soon.